My friend demanded that I don't invite my boyfriend to our holiday party for the sake of her comfort, so I excluded her instead. My friend Lori works at the same company as my boyfriend Max. We met at her company Christmas party. I am planning a big group holiday in July, and I invited 9 people, including both Max and Lori. Lori and I share a friend group, so everyone who is going is a mutual friend of ours. Lori has asked that I not invite Max on the holiday, because she says it's weird to have someone who works with her on holiday with her. She said she doesn't want him to see her partying, drinking, etc., considering he holds a very high up position in the company. She and Max don't work in the same department, so it's not like his opinion of her is going to affect her work, not that he would care about her partying anyway, he isn't like that, so I said I'm not going to uninvite him. Lori said this is unfair, and I should care more about her comfort than bringing Max, especially since everyone going is her friend too, and I'm basically excluding her. The friend group is split on whether I should try and find a compromise with her. I think she's overreacting. Ada? Story 2. Recently my truck was hit while parked by someone I go to school with. They did not want to involve insurance and offered to pay for it out of pocket. However, the damage was quoted at over $3,000. Understandably, the person that hit me does not have that kind of money. I told them I'm not in a rush to have it fixed, so if they need time to get the money, I am willing to wait. This is a trade collage, specifically a automotive technician program, so my instructor suggested I get aftermarket parts and replace the parts there. When I mentioned my concerns about the parts potentially not fitting looking correct, and that I would rather have it done professionally, I was told by my instructor, it's over 10 years old, in a tone that suggests I'm being in a hole about it. Is he right, Ada? Story 3. I, 19 female, and my BF 19 male met about a year ago on a dating app. He was already in college, whereas I was about to graduate. He had a group of friends, for sake of privacy I'll be changing names, that he hung out with a lot. One of them was named Nina. Nina was a LGBTQ+ ally, a proclaimed bisexual, though she said she would never date a girl, and was what people would classify as a typical narcissist. Nina and her close BFF Sam Fathom were really close to my BF. When I first met them both, they were sweet to my face. That should have been my warning sign. When I finally arrived at college, they seemed so happy to hang out with me, but I would always catch them exchanging looks anytime I talked to the group or hung out with my BF. I ignored it as I didn't want to wreck the friend group as a newbie. Another friend of theirs rejoined the group, Ryan Hethy, and it went further downhill with the exchanging of looks when I'd talk or touch my BF, and in the end the friend group split up over a big issue. That's another story. My boyfriend Quinn and I hung out with the half that stuck together. I know he was casual acquaintances still with Sam and Ryan and was okay with it. I know those two still hated me but had apologized for their behavior. Nina hadn't. They would constantly belittle me or talk over me when I'd speak. I was told countless times my trauma was nothing compared to theirs and that I was just a nobody in their group and I should just be grateful they hang out with me. Anyways, back to the main reason I'm writing this. I found out today that Sam and Ryan had been hanging out with Quinn one day. Quinn told me this after he received a call from Sam about possibly hanging out today. Nina had been there too. I was upset since we both had made a promise not to hang out with Nina ever again since she had disrespected me so much. He said he didn't want to leave the hangout as he just wanted to be there with his friends, and she showed up unexpectedly. I got upset and left to go back to my dorm. I told him how he disrespected me by doing this, and he says he didn't disrespect me. Am I the a-hole for being upset over this thing? Am I blowing it out of proportion? Story 4. I, a 29 female, have a 5-year-old son who I am fighting to get back from CPS. But in 2023, when his second birthday was coming up, I was frantically getting things together and making sure people would be invited. Mostly family and those I trust to be around him. My dad's side of the family have always been toxic to me growing up, so I knew I didn't want many of them coming to the party. I was very hesitant about inviting my biological father to the party. When CPS was looking for a family member to place my son with, he wanted to be the foster family for my son. Instead of him getting picked, it was my sister-in-law who became my son's foster family. Part of it was due to me telling CPS I would rather my sister-in-law to be the foster parent instead of my biological father. Another part is because his home wasn't clean enough and didn't have enough room for my son to live there. When my biological father found out my sister-in-law got him, he and his side of the family went ballistic. My aunt even called my sister-in-law, threatening to get a lawyer to sue her, and so much more, to the point that my sister-in-law backed out. My mom and I had to talk to my sister-in-law in order for her to agree again. I was scared that if my biological father came to the party, then he would start problems and ruin the party for my son. My sister-in-law told me that if he did, her husband would be there to back me up if I choose to tell him to leave. Knowing her husband had my back, I decided to take the chance and invite my biological father and his new family. So it would have been him, his wife, and his 2 new stepkids. They said they would love to come. Well, about a week before my son's birthday, my biological father calls and says he invited his wife's stepdaughter from a previous marriage and her husband to the birthday party. This was the first time I have ever heard of this person. My father had been married to his current wife for 2 years at this point. I only knew about the 2 younger kids who are now my new stepsisters, so it was a surprise to find out that there is another that no one knew about. I had talked about this to my sister-in-law, who was helping me plan this party for my son as well as my CPS worker. They both agree that if I do not personally know this person, then they should not come. I texted my biological father the responses I had received and told him I even agree with them. He then messaged back basically going off about my sister-in-law, saying that she has a problem with his new family and is being rude about it, basically calling her a BTCH and that this person is family. In the end, I told him that I have to follow CPS rules if I want to get my son back. He didn't say anything after that. So am I the a-hole for denying this unknown person from coming to the party? Story 5. Just over 2 months ago, I started my own e-commerce business. My father passed away, so I'm selling his inventory, and there's enough to justify an LLC. It's no huge operation, and since it's not really booming, every day or two I go to where my inventory is located, package, ship, and upload new inventory handle bookkeeping. Hardly takes 3 hours. I work my regular job as well, which ends at 3:30 p.m. each day, so to keep my routine consistent, I do this at 4 p.m., regardless of whether I worked my main job that day. My roommate 27 female has been getting upset that I'm not at home when she's on her way home. I've tried to talk to her about why it upsets her, and she got defensive and didn't give an actual answer, so I dropped it. Yesterday, she picked me up from work, and before she got there I told her that I was going to change at home, then walk over to work on the LLC since it's only a 5-minute walk from home. She suddenly insisted on stopping to pick up dinner, and it ended up taking so long that I missed post office hours. I told her no worries, I'd go do it today. Today, I started shipping at 4 as usual, and she called and asked if I was at home. When I told her that I was shipping, she snapped at me, "Got him it, seriously dude?" I reminded her that I gave her a heads up, and she got angry because she thought I'd do it earlier in the day. When I tried to bring up that I do it at 4 to keep a routine, she cut me off and hung up on me. She's also been a bit hostile with me over small things over the last few months, which I, admittedly, haven't voiced my upset about. Things like her cutting me off getting defensive when I try to talk about various things, her going on about her day at work for an hour or so, and then not letting me speak about my own for even 5 minutes afterwards without getting irritated with me for yapping, not knowing she wanted me to do things she never communicated, not noticing when we run out of things only she uses, constant criticism over small things, etc. She's been my best friend for 12 years, and it's like a switch got flipped and suddenly she gets angry with me over every little thing. It's upsetting because I feel unsupported by my best friend. All of the other little things aside, all of the money my business makes that isn't going back into it, or my father's headstone costs is going towards paying our bills. It's not like I'm hiding money from her, because I'm using it on our shared expenses to take some of the burden off of her, because I have the means to do so right now. I'd also like to add on that, while she is my best friend and roommate, she and I are not in a relationship. She has somebody she's seen, so it's not a jealous lover situation because we aren't dating in the first place. I feel like I'm missing some bit of unspoken information that should be obvious but isn't. I don't want her to be upset with me. She's my best friend, I want to make her happy, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Ada.